Hello everyone, today I'm going to do my May spending review and then also go over my May goals and how many of them I achieved and if any of them changed. First thing that I'm going to do is go through my YNAB breakdown, my spending breakdown, and then go into my own spreadsheet that I keep just to keep track of my expenses. So looking at my category groups, my two biggest groups that I spent in this month were my car category and then also my essentials category, which to be honest that makes sense. Essentials has things like groceries in and household products and toiletries. Car has things like petrol and insurance, which is going to be more expensive. So 26% of my spending was on my car, 25% of my spending was on my essentials. The next 13% was spent on fun and 13% was spent in my sinking funds. Now this isn't how much I put into my sinking funds, this is how much of my sinking funds was spent. So as you'll see, I did do my summer clothes wardrobe refresh, so I spent most of my clothes sinking fund money, and that means that that is one of the bigger category groups that I spent. Then 12% was spent on my subscription costs. These are monthly and yearly. My YNAB subscription did come out, so that's why my subscriptions are a little bit more expensive this month. And then finally utilities was 11%. This is things like council tax, electricity, water. That's why that one is 11%. Then looking a little bit further into my specific categories that were spent this month, 16% of my income went to groceries, and that was my biggest category spend this month. That is no surprise to me, that's quite typical. 11% of my spending went to petrol, 10% was my clothes fund, as I said before, 7% of my spending was my car loan, 6% of my spending was date, that is dates that me and my boyfriend go on, 6% was spent on YNAB, 5% on council tax, 4% on insurance, 3% on supplements, 3% on my phone, 3% on takeaway, and 3% on my new gym membership. Then 3% on toiletries, and the rest are 2% or under. So I won't name those, but that is the order of the categories that I spent the most out of. Next, I'm going to show you my expenses tracking. So what I do is I put into a spreadsheet what my goal is for the quarter, so my average spend for each category, what my goal is, and then also what I actually spent. So I'll show you the different groups and whether I stuck to my goal or not. My first group is utilities. Now I have pretty much stuck exactly to all of this because they don't tend to change much. The only one that varies is electricity, and because we were ahead with credit, we didn't pay any of that this month. So you can have a look here. I have all of my utility costs, the goal, and what I actually spent. Then for my car costs, my AA membership obviously stayed the same. For petrol, I spent less than I thought I would. So my goal was 208, but I actually spent 159. That is because I went on a residential trip with my class. We went away for 5 days, so I wasn't using my car for 5 days, almost a week, so I didn't need to fill up as much, and that was really good that I saved on petrol. My insurance cost the same, so obviously that was fine. I didn't pay any road tax this month, I pay yearly, so I put money away for that, but I didn't spend any. I don't have a target for my car maintenance fund. Obviously the goal is to not spend from it, but I do have the sinking fund in case anything goes wrong with it. I did spend £24 on a diagnostic test for my car as I had a few warning lights on, so there will be more expense from car maintenance fund in June because I will have to get my car fixed. I also don't have a target for car stuff and tolls. I spent £7 on tolls and nothing on car stuff this month. So overall the car category was pretty good this month. The next category is subscriptions. Most of these stick to what my goal is because they don't change. My YNAB subscription came out, as I said before. I'm not always going to spend from that. Hopefully just once a year I'll be spending from that, and it came out to £80.50. I do round up or down based on what the number was, just because having too many numbers in there like the pence is just too much for me. It was £80.50 with the exchange rate. And my running app, I did have a 3-month subscription to Cooper, but I then switched back to Runner because I didn't like Cooper. So I spent less than I had spent in the previous month, but hopefully if I'm paying for a running app subscription, it should be about £16, so that's fine. Everything else looked the same, so now we're going to move on to my essential expenses. I went over in my grocery budget this month. I did spend £220 instead of my target, which is 217. 217 is kind of an average. 220 is not that much more. We spent a little bit more in terms of hosting and just having nicer meals and cooking things from scratch. For example, we made a chicken Caesar salad and we made the croutons from scratch, so baked bread, and also made the mayonnaise, and we just have had a lovely weekend of cooking more meals. So yeah, we did spend a little bit more on grocery this month. I started going to the gym again, so I spent £36 on my subscription for that. I did put 25 as the target, although that probably will change. That was my old gym membership and I probably won't be going back to that gym. Go to a little bit of a nicer gym, it's going to cost more money. My target for supplements is £50. I spent 51, that's fine. I buy Simprove, which is a gut bacteria supplement, once a month, and you get 4 bottles that last you the month. And then I also get magnesium as well, which I had to restock on. Those are the supplements that I get if you're interested. Toiletries, I budgeted £35. This is anything from skincare to shower things to toothpaste to deodorant. Did spend a little bit less. 35 is my target, 31 is what I spent. Household, I spent a little bit less. I think I might adjust this target in the next quarter. I have adjusted the target on YNAB, which is my budgeting software, so now I think I'm only putting £10 aside. If I'm not, I will change it because I typically am not spending more than that. Household is cleaning products, toilet paper, things like that. And then travel is public transport. I have a car now, so I spent £0 on that, and my target for that is £0. Next is my fun money. I did spend a good amount of fun money this month, which is one of my goals this year. I spent £85 instead of my £50 target for dates. We just ended up doing an extra one this week. My boyfriend got paid and he goes by when he gets paid to go and do things, so I did have a little bit of money left over in my social category, and then I moved that to date, and we did go on a second date this month, which was nice. The other one was a curry date, and we went to a stately home and kind of did that cream tea lunch out, walking around the grounds date, which was nice. I didn't spend anything on hobbies this month. I spent £8 on social, which was going out for lunch with my friends. My target for that is 50, although these fun money targets are not concrete. I actually don't have targets in a lot of these categories, and if you watch any of my budget with me's, I tend to put money in based on what I'm doing that month and then move it around quite freely in the fun money category as I go through the month and want to do more things. The solo date, I spent £6, and this was on a Starbucks drink, and £6 is not a lot, but £6 on a drink is a lot, so I don't tend to do it often, but I got a Starbucks when I went to do my clothes wardrobe refresh, and that was really nice. I went over my takeaway target this month. We are supposed to only do one takeaway a month, which is about £20, but I did get my first teaching job, so we had a second takeaway to celebrate, and don't have any regrets about that. So we did go over the takeaway budget. We also went over the alcohol budget. We had a couple of nice barbecues with people, so we got wine for that and gin, things like that, just to enjoy the summer. I'm doing 75 hard at the minute, so I'm not having any takeaways or alcohol, so this should be less money in the coming month. Gifts, I budget about £40, but it does depend whose birthday it is. So I spent £27 on gifts this month, and then next month is my boyfriend's birthday, so I will be spending more then. Again, this is kind of a rough estimate. For hair, I spent £0, but I will be getting my hair done next month, so that will be a little bit more. And then odds and ends is kind of my catch-all category for miscellaneous things that I purchase, and I spent £12 out of 30 this month, and that was because we got 2 mugs and a tea towel from the stately home that we went to for our date yesterday. And then finally, I've got any sort of sinking funds that I spent out of, so I don't really have targets for these, but it's good for me to keep track. I spent 144 out of my clothes fund, as I said. I spent £14 out of house maintenance, and this was smoke alarms that we got and also a sprinkler for the garden. And then £24 I already said for my car, that was the diagnostic test. My total spending for this month was £1,000 £1,303. My target is 1,117. It is quite a lot more, but I do think that's because I spent out of my sinking funds, which I'm not always going to do. I'm quite happy with how I spent my money this month. I think I had a lot more experiences rather than material items. I saved a decent amount, and let's move on to talking about how much I paid of my debts. So I do have a £3,000 car loan. Using the payoff simulator in YNAB includes the interest that you're paying off as well. So each month I put £102.87 towards my car loan debt, and it reckons that out of £3,000 including the interest, I have £2,862 remaining on that debt. It reckons that I will pay it off March 2029. I think that number will drastically go down because when I start to get paid more as a teacher, then I will be able to put more towards it each month. But I'm trying to set myself up with the different savings amounts, so you know, car repairs and having a month ahead fund, things like that, so that if emergencies happen I don't go into more debt. And then for my overdraft, I need to save £1,000 to pay off my overdraft by the beginning of August, and right now I have paid £687.31 into my savings account that is getting that whole amount together, and then I'll pay it at one time. So for my net worth, I do track what my pension is, and then also I track obviously my debt payoff. So my net worth in April was £8,170, and my net worth now is £9,076. So that was about a £900 increase, and that is from paying some of my debt down, but then also I get a pretty healthy pension contribution from work as well. And then finally I'm going to go over my May goals, which ones I achieved and which ones I didn't. The first goal that I had was to make 5 more YouTube videos, and that was from my first one that I made this time last month, which was my May budget with me. I now have 6 videos on my channel, so I did hit that goal. My second goal was to do my summer clothes shopping, and I did do that this week, so that goal was checked off. The next one was to have a curry date with my boyfriend, and we did that one. The next one was to get my car fixed. I did find out earlier in the month that I had these warning lights on, but I haven't been able to get my car fixed yet, so I will add that to my June goals. The next one was to start the 75 hard challenge. I have started it, I just am about to finish week 2, so I could check that one off. The next one was to get therapy set up. I am in the process of doing it, but I have not started yet. The next one was to do 2 YouTube shorts. I think now I have done 8 YouTube shorts, so I am doing quite well there. And then the last one was 10 YouTube subscribers, and as of today, at the end of May, I am on 31, which is just so nice and so great that people want to watch the videos, and I'm just really grateful to anybody that has subscribed. So yes, I really knocked that goal out of the park, as some might say. My June goals as they stand, and I do add more to these as the month goes on, is to have 40 YouTube subscribers, to post 8 videos, to get my car fixed, to post 10 YouTube shorts, to read 2 books, 1 non-fiction and 1 fiction, to have 2 social events, so that is going out and doing things with people, to have 2 of those this month, and then to get signed off for my teacher training. So this month is my sign off to say that I have completed my teacher training, so there's a few things I need to do for that, and that is a big goal of mine for June. That's the end of my May spending review and goal review and my goals for June. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. YouTube recommends this video, and this is my most recent upload. I'll see you guys in the next one.